My name is Travis Keel. I'm the president of Kelso Babe Ruth. I've coached youth baseball in that park for 29 years. The benefits to the youth in our community are, I can tell you story after story what it means to kids to come down there, have father figures, work as a team, and have a place to go. Batting cage is, well, first of all, roughly we have 130, 160 kids play in one park. KGSA, probably about the same. It's a lot of kids going in and out of there every year. As you can see, I've got some kids back here, went through the program. They're all playing college baseball. Those are what we want in our community. Kids are working hard, give them a place to work, and make Kelso proud, and then come back to the community. Every one of these kids right here that you see have done that. If we have a batting cage, we're able to build on that even more so. And not only that, a kid that may not be going to college, give them an opportunity to come in there and work out. And it's cold out there, it's rainy, it's really hard to work out, when it's wet and cold out. We do share or use the Kelso batting cage, but very limited. And there's a lot of different programs that use that batting cage, from LCC to Kelso U to KGSA to tournament teams. Partnering and having a cage with KGSA benefits the girls and the boys to have their own facility. And then to me, it doesn't matter where it's built, but I can tell you it'll benefit greatly the youth in our community. And we have youth from South Kelso to North Kelso to West Side Highway, the whole community. So that being said, that's really all I got to say about it. If you want more info, I can let you know. But again, it benefits the youth that want the extra work, keeps them from going to Vancouver, paying gas fees and workout fees. They stay right here at home and be able to work out right here in Kelso. And we want to keep these kids here in Kelso. I don't want them going down to Vancouver paying $1,200 for instruction when they can get it right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
As we were talking about the costs, you're right, versus city or government doing it versus private is a big difference in what it would cost. Jim and I have talked about that as well. That's just the nature of the beast, right? So $160K from contractors that I personally know would get the project done if it was built privately. You guys got to send it out to bid and prevailing wage and all that. Sometimes it gets very expensive. Then 160K probably isn't enough. That's really all I got to say. I know Jim and I have talked about it. I talked to Harvey about it today. Location isn't, whether it's center field and the grass area out there or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. But if it's a project we're allowed to run, kind of like the turf field, where you guys waived the permits and we had private funding, and the project took off and was done in 6 months after the funds, $500,000 was raised. It goes really fast. I've got concrete contractors, I got quotes from fence companies, irrigation companies. My vice president sells steel for a living, so there's ways to save a lot of money on that doing it privately. So
their career as youthful baseball and softball players. I mean, the cage is a tool that will, in fact, give them a better experience because it will give them a skills enhancement. And I want to say something about the economics of our programs. We have tournaments that are literally, that is one of the largest economic drivers in the city of Kelso. What happens at Tam O Shanter and those sports complexes down there? Go talk to the motel people when we have tournaments, softball tournaments, baseball tournaments. Go ask them how many people come here. We draw teams from the Western United States, from Canada. We get some occasionally, I think, from California. We put bodies in beds and put people into our community businesses through our summer sports programs. Major contributor to the economics of this community. We want teams that are highly competitive. We're all proud in this community of our athletes. They do not have access to the facility that is most basic in developing that skill set to make them representative on the field. They get one shot, and by the time they're 17, 18, their baseball careers are over with, their softball careers. Let's make it a wonderful experience for them by helping develop their skill sets. That cage is going to be used year-round. It's going to be used by a lot of volunteer folks who want to impart a good experience to the kids that walk through its doors. There's no more valuable tool that we can give our kids than that cage. And on a purely economic basis, folks, it's already a wonderful program. All I'm saying is, let's put teams out there that have the best skills to best represent us.
Mr. Harvey.
Yeah, I was just going to be super brief. I had the opportunity of talking to Mr. Keel today, and really the infrastructure that the current organizations have down there isn't sufficient. So they're splitting their time between other batting cages, and it's really not sufficient to grow their organization. So I think this is an important project that we should all get behind. What I don't agree with is I don't believe that we could complete this project for $160,000, especially going vertical. So they're talking about indoor batting cages. So the facility itself is likely going to exceed that price unless the organization can find people to donate the work, as we've talked about for other things. But $160,000 is really light on a project like this. And so I think the next steps forward would be this council support the project or support the investor, direct the city manager to work in conjunction with the Kelso Babe Ruth group and come up with a good, solid engineered plan, design, and implementation, then bring it back to council so we can have this discussion a little bit further with more information in front of us.
Mr. Hill.
In point of fact, we have done a lot of research on both the building itself, the pad that is going to be laid in, the equipment cost, and the infrastructure inside, which basically amounts to netting. So there will be sweat equity involved in this. The major costs are the building. We have I've got them and more than happy to show them to folks. I think a total of 3 for the construction of the metal building itself, and that is less than $100,000. The pad runs around $25,000. The equipment's going to run 10. I've given you all a breakdown of estimates on everything that it takes, and it still figures in about $160,000, and that would include moving the fence, which is going to be a necessary component. So I applaud Mr. Harvey for reaching out and talking to folks. But let me assure you that the number 160 is a really solid number. And if we choose not to take action on it tonight, then let's move forward and at least authorize Mr. Hamilton to begin the process of looking into the costs and getting some definite numbers and come back to council right away so that we can move this thing forward.